4 leagues? Yep, we're doing this now. Hello, my name is Shadow Glade, and welcome to the Moonlight Battle Association low tier. Yep, we're finally getting a low tier draft on the channel. I've always wanted to do one, but I've just been so lazy. But more importantly, this league has some familiar faces, some good friends of mine who you will be seeing later. Now then, I won't waste your time, because I am here for one reason and one reason only. To get this piece of shit banned. Look at what Cloister does. Look at what it does. It is a problem, ignore that. But look at this. It's Cloister. They allow Cloister in low tier with no restrictions at all. It's free to click Shell Smash. It's free to just do that. It can spikes and rapid spin, but we all know what this thing does. Like in regular draft, there are a bunch of threats in the higher tiers ready to take this thing on, no problem. But in low tier, just a little bit of chip damage, some Stealth Fox chip here, a Toxic here or there, and oh, look at that, I'm in Cloister death range. Oh, he's at +2. Oh, I'm dead! This thing should not be allowed. Much like Salamence in PMC, we are going to take this thing all the way, and we are going to prove to them why allowing this thing was a big no-no. It was a mistake. But to do that, we're going to need someone bulky. Cloister's already bulky, but it's an ice type, so it doesn't count. That's where this bad boy comes in. Mega Steelix, 230 defenses, hits like a little miniature train, eats up those Volt Switches that love to eat Cloister alive. Like, if there was anything to help weaken things down for Cloister, it's this guy right here. Mega Steelix is a monster and helps complete our Fairy Dragon Steel Core, which we will get to later. Not as important in low tier, but it's fine. Now, it does die to special attacks, but our next couple picks will deal with that. Overall, super excited to use Mega Steelix on the team, especially since I'm such a huge advocate for Mega Aggron spam that this one's right up my alley. Even has some Earthquake stat to go with it. For our third pick, okay, listen, originally I planned to have Gardevoir and Gallade on the same team, be like, hey guys, we're doing this now, this is lore, but unfortunately Gallade's expensive. So for now, we're just gonna have Gardevoir absent from the lore. We'll get him eventually, probably. Now, let's get into what Gardevoir does. First things first, it can sponge special hits decently well, like I mentioned earlier. The Fairy Stab is amazing, regardless of the format you're in. And it hits like a special train because Cloister's main set is physical, though it can run some special attacks. Plus, being able to trace some specific abilities will be a godsend in some matchups. Remember that for later. And overall, Stop as a Soul Fist on this thing, and it is the perfect counterpart to Mega Steelix. Super excited to use this thing and do some shenanigans. Don't take that out of context. Next up, Rotomo's here, and hey, he brought Geraldo. Hey, man. Alright, Geraldo, sit tight, and welcome to low tier, buddy. Now then, let's get to Rotom. First off, you can see it's a standard Rotom form. Now, we had this thing last time in Ocean League, but we never did anything with it there. Fortunately, that was Rotom Fan, and I am not a fan of Rotom Fan. So this is a grass type, so we'll be seeing it a lot more. Other than that, it is a nice defogger to help our little Cloister problem. It can Volt Switch out to get Cloister in, and just fire off a Leaf Storm to deal a massive chunk of damage. Plus, if I wanted to, I can run a bulky Assault Vest set because that's a pretty respectable special defense stat, even if you have base 50 HP. So Rotom, just keep holding on to Geraldo for a bit, and let him watch. Next up, a little bit of a backup win condition. Flygon. Flygon is the power. We all know what Flygon does. It Dragon Dances, it sweeps, it becomes a low-key threat, it can do whatever it wants to do, it is monstrous. And while I'm not always the biggest fan of doubling up on ground types, neither of them are weak to grass. And only one of them's weak to water, and only one's weak to ice. So I'd say it's fine. It's fine. Other than that, not really much to say here. It is the mon that's most resistant to hazards. It's resistant to spikes, or it's immune to spikes, nothing from rocks, nothing from T-spikes, not affected by sticky webs. It's pretty good, all things considered. And if Cloister should, for whatever reason, prove to not be an issue, maybe there's a really bulky water, or, I don't know, a steel type that's gonna wall Cloister endlessly, if such a thing even exists, Flygon can take care of the job. Flygon is more than willing to take up the charge and make sure that Cloyster is in prime murdering shape. Also, another ground immunity is nice. Next up, our panic button. One of my favorite, actually, Ambipom. I actually loved Ambipom for the longest time, and I've always wanted to use one, but I never got the chance to, until the day. In low tiers, speed tiers are kind of important, actually, believe it or not. And most of the best, like some of the best fast mods, are up in the higher tiers. And Ninjask and Electrode suck, and so Ambipom is just down here as a massive speedster. Plus, Technician Fake Out does a metric chunk, I would know. And overall, this thing gets pretty decent coverage alongside some utility. And one thing you all didn't know, come here, cut moves are allowed. Outside of Hidden Power, yep, this league made the decision to allow most of the cut moves not named Hidden Power. So I will be sure to abuse that later, and I can Pursuit Trap with this thing. I am excited for Ambipom. I love this man. He's our panic button, and he is speed. We've seen you a lot, buddy. And now, to deal with a little bit of a hazard problem for Cloyster, Hitmonlee. Now, this thing does hit like a miniature physical train, but it's mainly hit a rapid spin and be a miniature physical wall. A little bit of bulk, a little bit of bulky bulk. And, you see that unburden? Normal gems allowed here. Look at my finger. I'm tapping my forehead. It does forehead things. That's a pretty useful trick to have, if you ask me. Like, Hitmonlee is a bit of a wild card. Like, the opponent could be preparing for an unburn set, and we're just gonna be here to rapid spin, and they over-preps to die to Mega Guard or to regular Gardevoir. But if they're not prepared for it, Hitmonlee will be a monstrous threat to the opponent's team. And I am always excited to use Hitmonlee. It was actually one of my first ever League mods. Good times. Now then, let's move on. If you notice, we haven't quite complete. We've done our Fairy Dragon Steel core, but we need a Fire type to complete our second core. Hello, Rapidash. Rapidash is... what can I say about Rapidash? It's a Fire Absorber, sure. It has some decent speed tiers. And that's about it. It's not really that versatile, though I guess its Flare Blitzes do hit insanely hard. So, for what you're worth, Rapidash, you're very fast with the format, and I will try some... I'll find some space for you, I'm sure. Sometimes my speed ain't gonna cut it. And when it's not enough to cut it, I gotta bring in Old Reliable. What can I say? I love webs. I've been a webs man for life, and I'm excited to use webs. And Ariados actually does have a niche. It does have some nice priority, some utility in the forms of moves like Lunge and even Pursuit. And yeah, it's a nice utility thing that can potentially web some stuff. And a Gardevoir under webs is terrifying. A Cloyster under webs, it's a Cloyster, so I guess it's terrifying. Plus, I can just run a choice Flygon if I really wanted to. And for our final pick, we're lacking that special bulk. The best we really have is Gardevoir and maybe Hitmonlee, but that's not good enough. Sliggoo, though. Sliggoo is cheap. It is the bulk. It can eat special attacks. Moonblast means nothing to it. You set up the Rain Dance, he'll fully heal with the Hydration. And his coverage isn't that bad for 83 special attack. Honestly, I'm looking forward to this. I've never done low tier before, but if it's anything like high tier, we'll probably suck at it. But we can do our best. We will do our best. See you guys week 1.